We'll be back from the break. It's exactly 1 minute past 8. You're still watching SmartMain's Business Unit Looking Starter. Manju Bariji, driving your business here as I bring you the latest business news, both local and international updates, which is very key and vital for your personal decision making as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, or even as somebody that is pursuing a career with a positive mindset. Well, before I get into my business tips and quotes this morning, don't forget the Markets on the Zabo platform, which are about to open any time from now. Actually, it's about 30 minutes left for the markets to start operating. Now, the question is, what do I need to do to be a part of this? It's quite very simple, by the way. *292# is the code for you there, and this will avail you with a number of options where you will be in position to buy bonds and securities for just 15,000 Ghana shillings. Now, the markets will be opening at 8:15 a.m., closing up to 3:15 p.m. East African time, effective Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays, where these markets can't be accessed. But apart from that, you have all these other days to capitalize and trade and make some good money. And now this week, the good news is that there was no public holiday for you in there, so you had all the way from Monday. Now you still have today and tomorrow to trade the markets on the Zabo platform, and I believe the results will be very amazing. Now, Zabo says my money, my future, and all that East Africa tells you, do something new for yourself. It's the year 2023. Well, right about now, let's get into our business tips and quotes as a way to empower you this morning. Well, it's always a mindset issue about how you perceive a situation. I have not failed, but I've just found 1,000 other ways that probably don't work. I've just found ways that don't work, but that doesn't mean I have failed. I'm making efforts, to make sure that I can achieve it in a way. Then I think our tip mentioned something to do with whenever you mention something, or even think about something, mentioning something, probably what you want to be. Man, you're the first person to hear that. So it brings back this whole aspect of self-motivation to embrace it as a person. I know there are moments when we really need motivation to do certain things. I mean, most especially if we be at a prime. For example, if you've been pursuing something in life, probably you try to build this company and things didn't go well, and you really feel like you did your best. You feel like you did your best to the maximum. There is that time when you really feel like it's going to be hard for you to ever build back to at least to reach that maximum you reached despite you failing. It's not easy, and looking for that motivation in there, but people may not be there really to motivate you. But of course, and I'm not saying self-motivation is easy either. It's not easy. It's the hardest, actually. Self-motivation, it's one of the hardest, because it all comes with how you deal with the insecurities around you. And once you can attain that, once you can achieve that, once you're in position to overcome, those insecurities around you, that can include what people think about you, what are the opinions about you, all that. All driven around when you lack enough self-motivation for you as a person. But anyway, that is something that can actually be dealt with. I mean, many successful people in the country which we know as America, when you hear their stories, actually I was watching somebody that was saying that, well, sometimes you need a hype man as somebody pursuing something. If you're doing a business, I mean, you're doing music, as a black person in the United States of America, you need a hype man. You know, because racism is all the way. Somebody's going to make you feel like you're down, but when you get this hype man, it's going to remind you of who you are, and they're going to tell you, you know, despite what they tell you, remember who you are. This is who you are. You're this, you're that, you're this, and that in a way drives you back. I mean, it puts you back in shape, and before you know it, you're getting back to yourself in there. But you can be a self-hype man, or you can have somebody that you can actually look up to when it comes to, you know, doing aspects in life, because it's not going to be just there, because self-motivation has an end to itself, by the way. It has an end to itself, as much as human motivation has an end to itself. But why both are important is that the end of one is the beginning of the other. And well, why can't you really succeed in life with such a mindset? In a way, you can definitely, there is no way you can actually fail to make it. You know, that's according to how I see things. That's my opinion in regards to that. And well, I don't know how it transpires out for you. Then that was for our tip. Then our quote mentioned something. Of course, we've been doing this in quite so many perspectives, but like I tell you, these quotes are more like, I mean, they are revelational. It's knowledge. The more you ponder onto something, the more you get another perspective of that. You know, the more you get another perspective of that. I mean, the aspect of, you know, failing. Well, you know, when somebody tells you that when you fail, it's more like you've just did something which you used the route that doesn't work, but it doesn't mean you failed. Why you failed is that the purpose wasn't achieved, but the input was in there. For us, in most cases, what we perceive as failure is accompanied with the composition. I mean, the substance, the composure of that particular event, probably, and it pulls us at a point of self-doubt. You know, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. Well, just because, well, something didn't go right, which is okay, by the way. It happens. I mean, that is something that you can anticipate at any other time of the day. But anyway, it's just about the mindset. Once you get to realize that I've not failed, but I just did something which didn't work, I mean, that is going to motivate you. In other words, you will know that you are never a failure in life. Like how somebody tells you, as human beings, we're eternal. We don't die. I mean, there are people that come up with aspects like we live in a multi-dimensional universe. You know, talking about the multiverse, we exist in multiple dimensions, infinite universe. And in each universe, you can die in this universe, but you can be alive in another universe. You know, those are just theories. But they try to bring you to that perspective that there is no such a thing like death. So in other words, there is no such a thing like failure at the same time. If you can carry that mindset of, I've not failed, but I've just simply taken a route that doesn't work, and probably, actually, the chances are, by the way, that the route is the issue. You're not the issue. So you're perfect. You don't fail. You're not a failure. I mean, the route you used had an issue, but you as an individual, you're okay. It has nothing to do with you. Well, that is it for our business tips and quotes this morning. I hope you've been, of course, inspired in a way as an entrepreneur, of course, planning to build quite a mega empire for yourself right there. Well, now at this moment, let's cross over and observe our social media trends. Now, of course, Air Tanzania, as we had seen it in our report here in the Caribbean, East Africa. Now, Air Tanzania hits million passenger record. This is at Tanzania Insight. Okay, I request to rehab that. Okay, Air Tanzania carried 1 million passengers in 2022, setting a new record for the national flag carrier as the price of its fleet continues to expand. Now, the passenger numbers recorded last year represent 51% increase from the 673,000 passengers carried in 2021. And quite a positive move for the country of Tanzania. And now this is at Lazarus, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera says delighted to welcome Tanzania President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan to Malawi on a 3-day state visit coinciding with our 59th independence celebrations. Now, bilateral talks on the cards to reinforce cooperation and the MWTZ, the Malawi Tanzania Joint Permanent Commission Cooperation. That is the JPCC. So Tanzania president there visiting Malawi, to boost relations amongst the countries. Yes, and we've seen Tanzania reach out to the different stakeholders, and also the stakeholders reaching out to the nation. Now, this is Kelvin Nyangolo. It says a liter of super petrol is 158 Tanzanian shillings. Kenyan shilling. 158 Kenyan shillings in Tanzania today without housing tax. Here it's 995 Kenyan shillings with housing tax. A difference is 37 shillings. I hope mataenda kupiga kura 2027. That's Swahili actually in there. For those that can relate to it, you can actually see how that really comes out. My Swahili is a little bit horrible. I just couldn't proceed with that, but I think you can relate to that for those of you that really understand Swahili. And of course, down there it says imagine only 9 months. Okay, now this is, hey Ugandans, this is not a 5-star hotel. It's a bus terminal. That is Magufuli bus terminal, biggest one of the kind in Africa, found in Tanzania, which can accommodate 700 buses and 100 cars. It also has an outside parking capacity of 1,000 vehicles. Now, this is credit Martin Roshi saying that. But why did he have to say, hey, Ugandans? Does it feel like we can't think? We that dumb not to realize such aspects in life? That is some sort of a heavy despise in a way. That's how I can take it to be. But anyway, regardless, this is at EM. Okay. All right. But it's a beautiful terminal there. And now this is Visit Tanzania. Visit Tanzania, French professional footballer and French League One champions PSG left back Levin. Anyway, Kurzawa visiting Tanzania for vacation. Now Tanzania continue to stop destination for a list stars. That is Kurzawa already visited Senegal and Zanzibar Islands. Well, very good in there for them, having such players heading into those countries, those celebrity players, and this is a way of promoting tourism within the country. Yeah, something which is very key to the development of the country. And now this is at EU in TZ. Tanzania and the EU in TZ celebrate that is their partnership on the occasion of the disbursement of about 140 billion Tanzanian shillings grant to the national budget. Yeah, talking about European Union and Tanzania, how they really cooperate, because majority, of course, of those pacts are more of economic growth and development. Now this is Bitcoin, amazing view from Mount Meru, Tanzania. Yeah, quite a beautiful country there, Tanzania, as we can see that, amazing view. That is Mount Meru, a tourist attraction with a very beautiful view. Okay, now I think that was about Tanzania President Samia Suluhu, who arrived in Malawi for a 3-day visit at the invitation of President Lazarus Chakwera. All right, that is it for our social media trends and updates. Of course, taking a look at Tanzania, the country, of course, mentioned almost everywhere, making headlines. That is positive for development and what we call public relations, how it is spread out. You know, President Samia Suluhu doing quite a very good job to make sure that she pushes the country to the outside people. People need to know about this country, Tanzania, and the pride that comes along with it. You can actually literally feel it as they are pushing it out there to the countries. I don't know if we had the same mindset in Uganda, how we'd be proud of Uganda, despite the fact that majority of the spread factors for the country are more of negative. You know, I saw something in the New York Times recently, and it was saying, okay, actually they're taking a photo of Kampala, I think it was around Chikubo in there, and they mentioned something about, of course, like as you know, considered one of the poorest countries. But then there is something that caught my attention, that in poor countries like Uganda, obesity is taken for financial security. If you're big, you have a big stomach, you're rich. I mean, that was crazy. When I thought about it for a second, I mean, think about it too, for a moment, for a second. Obesity and price. I mean, they call people that are fat obese in that perspective. I mean, if you say something big, what comes in your mind is that, oh, they have money, they are rich and all that. And then somebody was saying that, why Uganda appears on international international media, but for the wrong reasons, which was right actually. I think if we can see what is on Twitter about the different countries, I've seen Kenya, South Sudan even. I mean, we could do the same for our country, Uganda. You never know, because that in a way alters other potential investors that could come in the country. But above all, tourism is a little bit hindered once somebody has that mindset about the country, you know, all these. But anyway, that was quite rough. Obesity is taken for financial security. All right, now let's switch our eyes as we take a look at our business trend this morning. And well, this is matters to do with the land title delays. I mean, the time to process a title and give it out somewhere to somebody to own that land officially. Well, it's quite a little bit bureaucratic in a way, of a sense, and that has had an impact on the economic development. Now, how? Most especially now, taking a look at government projects execution faces a major disruption. I mean, executing the different government-related projects is halted as a result of that. Now, the economy also experiences a backlog situation, limiting revenue flow. Remember, some of this land which I can access, if it's processed earlier and I get the title and it's my land, I can use it as collateral. I mean, to get money to finance my business. Now, remember, if I can access that because of the bureaucracy, that means I'm going to have an issue when it comes to getting a loan, and that is going to hinder the flow of income into my business. And that still affects you, because if I don't have money to purchase enough materials that you come to buy from my business, you'll come to buy there and there will be nothing, and I'll tell you I've not yet stocked. So in other words, I'm limiting the flow of activities within the country, and probably I'm among the few people that are dealing into these products. But because my land title has delayed, have not been able to get the loan, and have not been able to stock. I mean, I'm not in position to use the loan to stock what I need to put into my shop. And that means when you come to buy, you won't find it there. You see that? So that's why they call the velocity of money, which is delayed as a result of that, if you can really trace the chain of this whole aspect. Now, let's get into this discussion. Of course, I'll be returning to wrap this up.
Two scenarios come in place here. Number one, we have various projects that government is running to include, as among others, those that are being executed by UNRWA, and where people's land titles are taken by UNRWA, and some of those land titles are taken to vary them, that is to cut off the area that is affected by the project. But there are problems in releasing the titles back to these PAPs, the project affected persons. But also in line with that, We also have concerns which were raised by ministries, departments, and agencies that the delays are occasioned by the chief government valuer. And today we have had that also answered well. The chief government valuer has clearly told us that if requests for valuation are submitted to their office with all the minimum requirements presented, it takes up to only 2 weeks for them to process and do the valuation and ensure that the necessary information is remitted back. But also in the interest of processing new titles, we've also today been told that it takes between 4 to 14 days to process a land title. Now, all of these have an economic impact. You know that a title is your security for the land you own. And you can use that land for various other purposes, to include, as among others, collateral, if you're securing some funding for any business interest that you might have. And when you don't have your title, it means you are not able to do that. But also, if you don't have a title, you're vulnerable. You find yourself in a situation where your safety cannot be guaranteed. So each and every person would want his title by his chest. So here you are, you don't have your title. It is being kept in a government agency for the last 5 to so many years. What guarantee does one have that that title is safe where it is? So those are all safeguards that have been raised by many agencies that we have met. And those are the answers that we have received today, that people, one, need to have their titles in time. If withdrawn as project-affected persons, they need the titles to be returned in time. And then two, those who are also interested in processing titles, once all the processes have been undertaken and the documents have been submitted to the M zones, they take between 4 to 14 days. And on that, I want to encourage all people aware that land is one of the areas that has led to various conflicts in the country, and it may continue like that.
The issuance of land titles or land title certificates has a relationship with government revenue in terms of NTR. So the more you delay to process a title, the more you deny government revenue. So we find that there is a lot of backlog countrywide. So government loses a lot of money because of the delayed processing and issuance of titles. That's a very, very big issue, which Minister of Lands, we have told them that they should make sure that they put all of the mechanisms, all of the staffs, that the titles are issued as and when they are requested, without delaying. Delay is the bureaucracy and lack of manpower in the land, in the areas where they issue titles. You find the districts and MZOs, they don't have manpower, and others don't have computers. So they are now trying to put a system which will make sure that titles, you apply and you get a title.
Delay in land title release, something which is impacting the government. It's losing quite a lot of money. Well, right now I'm joined with Joram Paul Sonko. And then we just left with just 2 minutes before we get into the break, as we break down this matter. Morning, Joram, how are you?
Well, I couldn't serve that good, but I'll tell you, when it comes to land titles, this is a very big discussion in more so in the central region. I think land titles have actually led to death of people. Quite a number of people have actually died or have lost their lives. Others are actually battling different diseases in relation to the fact that most of them have lost their titles or their disagreements due to land issues, land wrangles. And the major factor is the delay of issuance of these titles. Getting a land title now is really hard. You can actually buy land which is owned by over 4 people.
4 people, you find 4 titles of that.
So it's really difficult.
Actually, somebody was saying, if you buy land, make sure that, if Joram, I'm buying land from you, I need to see, if you also bought that land, I need to see your agreement you made from the previous buyer.
Exactly.
At least I need to trace three generations of that land. 4, at least 3 to be secure. But, actually somebody told me still the same, that I invested 200 million in this land, only to realize that another person had the same title I had.
So over 5 people owning
the same title. That thing still puzzles me up to now, actually.
And the land brokers or the land dealers are making a lot of money.
They are making money.
These are malicious acts, but obviously it is the world we are living in.
So sad, so upset. So you gotta be careful when you're buying a land title out there. Well, it's 26 minutes past 8. Now, of course, before we get into the break, don't forget the markets on the Zaba platform. I've already opened as I speak right now. Now, for you to be a part of this, it's quite simple. Start to 92 hash is the code for you there, which will avail you with a number of options where you will be able to buy bonds and securities for as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now the markets opened at 8:15 and they will be running all the way to 3:15 p.m. and this is effective Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when these markets are inaccessible. But despite you have the week, Monday up to Friday. Now like this week we had no public holiday, and so we have today and tomorrow. So you have a chance to trade as bonds and securities and make yourself some good income. 15,000 really just that needed for bonds. You don't need millions of money, and there is no paperwork needed in here, just your mobile phone and start to 92 hash. Zabo says my money, my future, and Old East Africa says do something new. It's 2023, we gotta do things differently. And now let's get into the break. When we return, we shall be taking a look at what's happening in sports and entertainment. Good morning.